recapture and what comes next in the search for the remaining escapee, Derek Groves.
Thank you so much, Donald, for joining us tonight. So first things first, let's talk about this capture today. And authorities kept saying today that it was a peaceful capture and that all the captures that have taken place so far, all 9 of them have been peaceful. And they hope that that's what will happen for Groves as well. Can you talk about today's capture and your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, it was a peaceful capture. You always want that. That's the optimal outcome. Anytime you can have no violence, no law enforcement gets hurt or the suspect gets hurt. So that's very fortunate. I always tended to believe he was somewhere close, and here he is extremely close. That's what happens. A lot of times they have a good network of folks they're working with that are able to house them, sometimes for an extended period of time.
The superintendent of state police said he obviously had help the past 6 weeks that he's been on the run. Now, we didn't get a whole lot of details today about this house where he was found. I mean, we heard from the property owner that it was an Airbnb, but we don't know who rented that Airbnb for him, or did he perhaps break in? What do you think about the fact that he may possibly have had help? Superintendent saying he probably did. I mean, you can't go 6 weeks, right, without getting some sort of assistance. No,
absolutely. I have no doubt he had help. I don't believe he broke in. I think the homeowner would have known about that. I definitely think that someone rented it for him under their name. And he hid out. He hid out in the home. In today's world, you can order Uber and other things to eat, get all the supplies you need delivered to your home, and I have no doubt that's what's been happening.
And sometimes these inmates, when they escape, they have the resources, like we were talking about before the show, to go out of state, but some don't have it and it's not sustainable. That's what you were saying. Can you talk about that and how Massey's time was kind of winding down?
Yeah, for any fugitive, their time is usually very limited. Unless you have some great planning ahead of time, it's going to be really difficult to get out of town. How would you get a vehicle, for instance? You have to have help doing that. If you're going to carjack someone, that's going to draw the attention of law enforcement. So generally speaking, as these things go on, it becomes harder and harder for the fugitive to stay out there. Their network begins to break down because people get tired of participating sometimes, and they also realize they're putting themselves at risk. And then the fugitive themselves, this is extremely taxing on them emotionally, constantly looking over their shoulder, not knowing what move they're going to make next that's going to get them apprehended. So these things are usually short-lived, even though it may seem long to the public, certainly to have a fugitive out there.
Let's talk about what happens next here with Derek Groves. I mean, unlike Massey, who's posting these videos on Instagram, pleading his innocence, we have not heard from Derek Groves. We really haven't seen him since some surveillance images popped up of him after the escape, very shortly after the escape. Do you believe he's still in the area? How much longer could he have left?
I do believe he's probably still in the area. That's usually what ends up happening. It would be surprising to me were he outside of the area, particularly this far out. What kind of support network would he have? And you can bet that the authorities are looking at anybody who may live out of town and has contact with him. So I think he's probably still in the area. He's remained very low profile because he knows anything he does to put himself out there just puts him at risk for being captured.
And the fact that he is still out there, obviously viewers wondering if they are okay, because I remember when all of them were out, like the 10 escapees, and now it's down to 1. Should the community still feel on edge?
Well, you should always feel on edge if a fugitive is out there, especially one who's committed murder. He has nothing to lose at this point. There's no telling what he's liable to do if it comes down to him getting captured or staying free. So I would say that the public should continue to be vigilant. Do the types of things that you would ordinarily do in a situation like this. Check your car out as you're approaching it before you get to it. Make sure nobody's underneath it. If you have a key fob, unlock it. Right as you're getting to the vehicle, get in and lock it. Those types of things. Same thing when you're going in and out of your home. Make sure that somebody always knows where you're at. So just basic measures, that the public should take until this gentleman's apprehended for sure.
And we heard, the investigators say today, obviously the search for him continues. They're searching high and low every day, so they're hoping he'll be brought back into custody very soon.
Hope so.
Hope so. Donald Lane, thank you again for your time tonight. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.